Welcome back to the Exit Interview, a podcast for Black educators with me, your host, Dr. Asia. We're in season 6, and the great guests keep on coming in. So I am really excited. I got this interview is very special because, and Kai's going to tell you a little bit about herself, but Kai's like a support person. Remind me her name.
Clarissa.
Clarissa reached
Yeah.
out and said, I think that her story is great. And she was just like so adamant. So this is like, first of all, shout out to her to getting us together. But I'm really excited about your story. We had a chance to chat it up, and I felt like we could have had the interview right there when we were in our last session together. But folks, welcome to the show, Kai Hamer. Welcome. Tell us a little about yourself. So glad you're here.
It's good to be with everybody. Dr. Asia Lyons. I have to just say your name out loud, invoke your love that's behind your name. My name is Kayema Hamer, and I go by Kai for short. And shout out to my team member, Clarissa Donnelly DeRoven. I love her so much, and I'm grateful to her for connecting us together. I am a proud Black woman, first and foremost. I'm a mother. I'm a stepmom. I'm leaning in deep to my stepmomness, to the value of what that is to be a stepmother. So I'm standing in that. Shout out to my stepdaughter, Amber, my,
Mm-hmm.
my biological son,
Mm-hmm.
Andre, if I don't shout him out. And I have another stepson, Jelani. Just like a little piece of myself that I hold on to. And another part that I'm holding on to right now is I'm a cat lover.
All right.
And I have to shut the door because my cat will try to bust in here. His name is Lamar. That's the name that he came with when I adopted him. His name was already Lamar. He was a rescue, and yes, he is a black cat. Did you know that black cats are the least adopted? And I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was only associated with the idea that black cats are bad or evil. But guess what? Black dogs are the last adopted too. So
Mm.
when I went to try to find a pet, I seeked out black cats and I got Lamar. They said, "You want to change his name?" I said, "No." Lamar sounds culturally relevant, sounds like a
Yeah.
culturally relevant name. And so I have Lamar. That's just a couple of anecdotes about me outside of like the educator realm.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Lamar definitely is giving a black man's name who was raised in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, I love that. And I did know about the cat. I did know about the black cat, but not the black dog.
Yeah.
So interesting. Ooh. Well, spitting on the facts straight off the bat. All right, so Kai, tell us, how did you know that education was for you? I know some people talk about they learned that they were want to be educators in third grade, or they found out through Teach for America. But what was your journey into education? How did you know it aligned with you?
Good question. I'm not sure that I knew that education was for me. What I was certain of was that I love children. That was first and foremost. I love children for their curiosity, for their openness, for their honesty, because children keep it real, um, and the way their face lights up when you teach them something new. So that's what I was drawn to. I became a teacher through an alternative pathway. I did not go to school or undergraduate school saying that I'm going to get a BA in education. Um, I started out pretty early on being camp counselors, working in after school
Mm,
programs. That's what came first for me. If I speak my truth, I'm from New York City, I'm from the Bronx. I grew up really, I came of age, I'll say, in the 90s. I
yeah,
wanted to be a rapper. That's legitimately what I was trying to do. And I was good at it, if I
yeah,
must say so myself. Like I always wrote poetry, I was a writer. And
yeah.
growing up in New York City, I wanted to rap and I was doing open mics and I was really good. And so the backside of that is you have to work. And so I always worked for after school programs for day camp with children while I was also pursuing a career in rap music.
Mm,
Directly after high school, I went to college. I was in college, working part time, and also going to open mics and trying to get a record contract, doing all of those things at once. One notable experience that I remember, I was working at an after school program that was based in a shelter for families, a homeless
Mm-hmm.
shelter for families in the South Bronx. And my title was actually teacher. It was in what they called the Brownstone School, which a brownstone is a kind of building, and it was like a sliver on the side, and it had 2 floors, and that was their after-school program. That was their recreational center that they had for the children there, and that's where I worked. And, I love kids. The children gravitated to me. We read books a lot, did after-school homework help, and coordinated all kind of activities, both after school and on the weekends. And it was my supervisor there who first planted the seed. And I might have been like 19 or 20. And she said
Mm.
to me, "You ever think about being a teacher?" And I was like, no, because I'm trying to be a rapper. Like
Right.
that's really what it was then. Um, so I continued sort of working with children in those capacities. At some point, okay, I didn't blow up and become a rapper, right? It was like you're gonna go back to school and
Mm-hmm.
finish your degree. What are you gonna do? But my work continued to progress more so in social services because I was working with a lot of families in shelters, several jobs. The last one in social service being a case manager in a shelter for
Mm-hmm.
families.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going back to school. So at that point in time, I'm working all day long and I'm working on my BA at night and my son is a baby. So I'm hustling. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I did finish my degree, not in teaching, just in basic liberal arts. And it was like, what are you going to do? You're going to be a social worker or perhaps a teacher. Those are my choices. My mom is a social worker. So that was like a legitimate consideration.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came across the New York City Teaching Fellows, and
Okay.
it is an alternative certification program for adults who want to change careers. It's interesting because I had just finished my BA. My career switch would have been like from social services to education, but I had so much
Yeah.
experience working with kids, and it was a highly competitive program. I'm talking about group interview, had to write your sample lesson, had to deliver your lesson to the group that you're interviewing with.
Yeah.
Really highly competitive, and they were looking for special education teachers.
Let me pause you for one
Yeah,
second.
yeah,
Um, and you mentioned your mom, which is what I want to ask the question about your mom being in social work. And she's watched you. I don't know how she felt about you wanting to be a rapper. I don't know if she was like, yeah, or like, girl, get a job. You had your son, you finished school. When you told her, hey, I think I'm gonna go for this teaching fellow program, I think I'm gonna apply, I'm gonna go for it. And then what was that conversation? Was she still thinking, was she pushing you towards social work? Was she saying, I don't care what you do as long as you love it? What was that conversation like with her during that time?
yeah. My mother um, is the kind of mom that raised me like, be who you want to be. So
Mm,
she would not say be a social worker because I'm a social worker, or I
mm-hmm.
want you to have the career that I want you to have. I have a mom that's like, who are you? Who do you want to be? How do you
Yeah.
want to show up in the world? And you have the freedom to do that. And I say that so strongly because I want to be a rapper. And my mom was like, go for it.
Yeah.
They letting the moms in the club, and she's gonna show up and be there. And
Yeah.
my mother like um deeply religious church lady and never for one second held me back on who I
Mm,
wanted to be and how I wanted to show up in the world. She always had my back. She's like, "You want to be a teacher? Go for it. Oh, there's this program you want to go for? Do it. Of course you can do it."
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Shout out to her.
Yeah.
So continue. Tell us about that fellowship, and all the things you had to go through to get in there.
Yeah. So I got in, highly competitive, but I did make it in, and I absolutely loved it. It was cohort based. So we had a group of teachers. There were about 30 of us in the cohort 7A. We were all going to become special education teachers. And they help you take all the exams and then you start your coursework. And I got they select the school. I got Fordham University in New
Mm-hmm.
York City, a really great educational institution, and went through all of my courses. The interesting thing is, it takes 2 years to complete your degree and to get your certification. We got provisional certifications in the beginning, take the test, and then later on at the end, you get your permanent certification, or what was permanent at that time. Um, and they place you. So we basically got 6 weeks of student teaching, and then they put you in a classroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It
And
was
I've heard that I heard that a couple of times just recently, and through this all the seasons, folks who are saying like we had this amount of time, it was very intense, 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, and then we were in there. And this is you had some training, but it was perhaps not enough to get get you down the road. Well, go ahead.
wait, Dr. Lyons, wait a minute. And we were special, I'm gonna say it again, we were special education fellows. The
Yeah.
need is so great. We were January folks. So some people started programs in September. Like you would do your stuff, you working in the summertime, and then the school year begins, and so you begin. No, we were mid-year. I was
Mm.
placed in a classroom in February, and I was the class's like third teacher. My
Mm.
very first class, special education, self-contained, all boys with a para. I'm in the Bronx. They placed me in my own school district, so I'm close to home. So this felt like home.
Yeah.
I'm walking around the neighborhood and I'm waving, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah.
Like I'm in my own community, and I'm teaching both of the. So that was my placement teaching, and then I ended up with a permanent position also in my neighborhood. But those were the conditions. It was like February, welcome. Here's your third teacher. What I did notice though, I'll just say what it meant, what I believe it meant for the boys to have like a younger black woman be their teacher.
Mm.
That felt the first time. The reason why I'm saying that is because the first time I took a sick day, the boys they told me they were crying. They thought I wasn't coming back.
Oh.
Yeah, they thought I wasn't coming back, and it was a third, fourth, fifth grade bridge class. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Hold on, it feels like yesterday to me. Uh,
Sure.
yeah, this was over 20 years ago, but for me, it feels like yesterday.
Sure. And that impact, right? Like you said, they saw representation. This was your neighborhood, your community. And
Mhm.
so for so many people who teach close to home, you understand that the students in front of you are also going to be students who you will see as adults who are working in different places in your community. So it's
Yeah,
a different level, it's an extra level obligation in my mind, because you know, like that's I might know this person's grandmother, or I went to high school maybe with this person's sibling or whatever. So that's really important. I know that for a long time there's like been a lot of conversation about like pipeline programs specifically because they want so many people to go back into the communities in which they were taught
yeah.
or where they lived so they can teach in those same communities because it's supposed to hopefully mean so much to them. And so you were there, you did that class, had that class for how long?
So I was there from February to June.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got what's called in New York City is excessed, which means they don't have a place for you. Your job is
Mm,
guaranteed when you once you're inside the Department of Education, but I had to go to another school. Now I could have
okay.
sat around and then they wait until September to see if there is a position for you. But over the summertime, I began to put my feelers out and interview in other schools in my own school district. And I ended up at the school that I would remain for 11 years, for the next 10 and a half years, because I did like a few months there. um, yeah, I ended up at the place that I would spend the majority of my teaching career, which also was right across the street from my mother's house. So I had lived in the building, okay? And then I get this job at the school and I can turn and there's my mom's building. I'm talking about a block away. So this was
Yeah.
getting closer, like feeling like my kids, my
Yeah.
home. And wait, just one funny story. The very first, it's not the first day, it's like the day before the first day of school. I get my class list. You get the roster. These are your kids. Again, I'm a special education teacher. I'm brand new to the school. and they give me my list. And the parent coordinator, she is Puerto Rican, thick Nuyorican accent, and she's like, "Hamer, let me see your class list. Let me see who you have." Now she's been there years. She looks
Uh
at the list. She's like, "Oh my God, that's your class. You in trouble, girl." I was
huh.
like, she was like, "Oh, those kids, they are a lot. You are
Oh
in
no.
trouble." This was the day before the first day of school.
Great. Right.
Thank you, Evelyn. But she wasn't telling a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about that experience. And well, first of all, did you go to that school that you across from your mom's house?
No, I didn't. I had
Okay.
moved into that neighborhood in high school, so I didn't
Got
go to
you.
that elementary school, but I knew everybody around there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, tell us about that. I mean, she starts you off like Evelyn said, go ahead and get ready. So that night before, I couldn't imagine how you were feeling. But yeah, we want to hear that whole experience.
Well, I was a nervous wreck. I mean, it wasn't a brand new experience only because I had done 4 months at a previous school.
Yeah.
So I did have some experience being in a classroom, opening it up, getting the work started, but it takes years to become an excellent teacher. Some
Say that
people
again. Say
It
that
takes
again.
years to become an excellent teacher. And it
Yeah.
feels like there's an expectation that you're going to be excellent on the outset. There's an expectation that people hold for themselves. There's an expectation that the system holds. And I'm in the school, I'm in the Bronx, I'm in the hood. It's Title I. 100% of the children in my school got free lunch. There's a
Mm-hmm.
building behind next to my mom's building. You turn one way, there's a housing project. Majority of the kids come from that housing project. You go back 3 blocks the other way, there's another housing project. That was what fed the children. So when I say that, I'm saying that there's just a lot of need there. And then you
Mm-hmm.
take a brand new teacher and you drop them in, boop, into one of the highest need classrooms, which was a fourth, fifth grade self-contained special education class with
Yeah.
children who have mixed needs. Some are learning challenges and some are behavior challenges. And then you say, now go be excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And I would come in the morning, and a lot of the other classes, they line up in the cafeteria, in the gym, and you pick your class up from the gym. And some would be in the auditorium. You pick. My kids were everywhere. Why are you behind the soda machine? Oh, this one, two of them is hiding in the bathroom. These two, like this was me, like
Not
collecting.
behind the soda machine though.
Seriously, you hiding over here, you know. That's
Yeah.
what that's what I entered with. But I also entered with a lot of understanding of the community and the neighborhood and even more love. And I
Yeah.
was determined. And I would have the same students, some of the same students for 2 years because it was a fourth, fifth grade class. So my fourth
Okay.
graders would cycle up. That gave me the opportunity to really build genuine relationships with my kids. And one example of that, I won't forget this one student who was being raised by her grandmother who was immobile.
Mm.
Grandma could not. She left the house only in emergency circumstances. I'm assuming she could not move easily about, and I knew that I would have her for fifth grade. So in the summertime, I went to her house at least
Mm.
4 times to do reading with her because I didn't
Mm.
want her to lose the skill that we fought so hard to get over the summer because summer learning loss is a real thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, when it was report card time, I brought the report card because it would be an issue. You need a parent signature for every report card. Grandma couldn't come to parent teacher conference to sign it. So I brought the report card to her because I loved my kids. They were hard.
Yeah.
They were hard. It was hard. Those first couple of years was hard, but there was no love lost. I love
Yeah.
those kids. Yeah, I won't forget it.
Yeah. I do want to dig into more about your experience there. And you were at that school for a good number of years. So
Yeah,
obviously there was something, so many people who kept you there and, you're tied to the community and that love. But I do want to pause for a second and ask the question of the role of your professionals, paraeducators, because I'm thinking about first stint at the first school, and you said the para was there, and I'm thinking about the para that was in there in your classroom when you got there and showed you that list or went through the list with you, and the role of paraeducators in your time learning to be an excellent educator, what was that like? What was that relationship like with folks as you were trying to figure that out, knowing that they were established? And paraeducators, shout out to them. They know, they've been everywhere. They've seen everything. Yes. So please tell us a little bit about how they were able to support you, all those pieces.
If you are preaching in New York City, we call them paraprofessionals. And if you are preaching a sermon on the power of paraprofessionals, I'm in the back, I'm on the choir. I said, pass the collection plate.
Yeah.
I could not do my work without a paraprofessional. In fact, if the children in their IEP, if they're required to have a para, it's against the law to not have paras.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's a challenge, there's a gap, there's a need. If I came in one morning and my para wasn't there, I'm in the window, send help. You need the support. I'm like, send help, somebody. They got me in here by myself.
Yeah.
Because you need the extra hands, the extra brain, the extra support of the paraprofessional. I speak highly of paraprofessionals, and if you have a tight partnership between the lead teacher and the paraprofessional, the kids don't even know who the lead teacher is. They don't even know
Mm-hmm.
who's the para and who the lead teacher is because you built something so tight, so cohesive together. My first paraprofessional was Miss Thompson. She was older than me, an older Black woman of Caribbean descent, and she didn't play. And she taught me a lot. She said, "You don't smile for the first month. You show these kids a certain level of discipline and clarity from you because you're not their friend. You're their
Mm-hmm.
teacher." And I won't forget. I won't forget her for as long as I live, Miss Thompson. She was also from the community. She was from the neighborhood, um, and I'm always singing the praises of what it means to have a good para because I know it well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah, so continue telling us. You were
yeah.
there for, you said,
I
a good
will.
number of years. So let's keep talking about that. Your experience there. Were you always in the classroom at that school? Some of the leadership
Yeah.
positions, some of the stories that you would like to share about that experience?
Yeah, so I stayed at that school for 10 and a half years. 2 years I was in a self-contained classroom teacher. My third year, we got a new principal, and I became a social studies teacher. And
Mm-hmm.
in this school, the social studies teacher did not have a classroom. I went from room to room with a cart. I had a cart that had
Mm.
all my supplies and materials for my lesson in the cart. And I taught all the grades over the different. I was a social studies teacher for 3 years. I taught all of the grades um, from kindergarten up to fifth grade in different variations of the years. The interesting thing is, while I did that, there's nothing that I did not do in the school. I became the union rep for the teachers during that time. Um, I did the talent show. We never had a talent show. I organized the talent show, which included the kids having tryouts during lunch.
Wait, wait. Well, we want to know, did you rap?
I didn't rap. I did
Oh,
bring my rap music in. The talent show was for the kids. It wasn't for the grown-ups.
you were like, this is my chance.
I know, right?
Yeah, I
Kids will
love
want
that
it.
though. Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, we did the talent show for the kids. I really believe that kids need a lot of opportunities to shine. And what stood out to me being a special education teacher was that my kids were smart, they were intelligent, but they couldn't read.
Mm-hmm.
Their gifts didn't come out academically because that's
Mm-hmm.
not the way their brains worked. They were neurodivergent. Their gifts came out in other ways. And so I was constantly looking for opportunities for the children to show their gifts different. I had one student, I won't forget him, DeAndre. He was like, he was in fifth grade, and for the life of him, he couldn't understand why he couldn't read. That's dyslexic, right? He's like trying
Sure.
to make sense of it. Why? Because he's sharp and he's intelligent. And he's like, he's trying the best he can. Why can't he read? Broke my heart. And I needed him to know you are intelligent. You are sharp. Because he could tell you a story. He couldn't write the story. His writing was filled with spelling errors because,
Mm-hmm.
he's struggling to get the written words from his brain onto paper. If
Mm-hmm.
you give him a recording device and you say, tell me your creative story, just say it. Oh, he's going to weave a picture for you. And so I wanted the kids to know that intelligence shows up in many forms, that it is just not about your ability to read or solve a math equation. Those skills are important, We're going to continue to work on those skills. You will continue to work on those skills all the way up to high school. But there are other gifts and talents that as a teacher, I felt like it was my responsibility to support them in building those skills and talents. So that looked like having a talent show, having the kids try out. So the kids are singing and they're dancing and they're doing poetry and they're doing all of those things. Oh, we had a cash prize too, Dr. Lyons. We had a cash
Oh,
prize. We charged tickets. Tickets were like $2 or $3. And then
yeah.
we use those dollars to actually give the kids cash prizes.
Mm,
So that was a lot of fun. I became the IEP teacher, and sat in on all the initial evaluations for students. That also felt really important. The principal who came in felt like too many children were being referred for special education,
sure.
and we needed to do something about it. And there was a direct link between particularly the boys who were referred to special education and the boys who ended up in jail. Like, that's a real
Mm,
statistic. I mean, we know it is the school to prison pipeline, but she's
mm-hmm.
connecting it to New York City. I went to a workshop, blew my mind, Rikers Island, which is a notorious jail in New York City. They could make the correlation between how many of those boys were sitting in that prison and how many of them sat in special ed. And
Sure.
we were trying to break that. So that was an important role for me to play. After that, I did that for 3 years, and then finally, I became the dean. We had two deans. It was a big school. We had 900 children in the school.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
we were
In
huge.
a elementary
In an
school?
elementary school, 900 children. Yeah, and we were packed to the rafters. Now you say, how does that happen? It's because we were in a community that was going from houses to buildings. So where a single house would stand, uh, um, contractors would come in, investors, tear down a single house, right, that you could rent or you could sell, and they would build a multi-unit where a single house was. So now where one family lived in a house, you might have 10 families, and all of them
Wow.
zoned to the same school. And that happened over a period of years where now the school is packed. And so we had two deans, one for third to fifth grade. I was the dean for the students from K to 2. And that ends up being really less about punitive and more about teaching behavior. Because you
Yeah.
can't say to a 5-year-old, you know how to act. No, he don't. He's 5. He's been on
Yeah.
the planet for 5 whole years. This is his first time in the big school, and he
Yeah.
actually doesn't know what's expected of him in terms of behavior. He needs to be shown. She needs to be shown. And then the positive behaviors need to be reinforced in a way that is caring, in a way that is loving, because the children were so young. And so that was my charge, in my final 3 years, is how to help children learn how to behave, but with love and care. I wasn't the mean dean. I was the loving dean,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to show the kids what the expectations of behavior were to be. But we had a whole school-wide system. We developed that over years. And in that way, was really able to change our school for the better.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. As you were talking, I'm also thinking about the demographic shift. You talked about one family to 10 families,
Yeah.
right? And so then I'm thinking about, you said packed to the rafters, 900 students. In your school, what was the turnaround for teachers? Did you have folks like yourself that say 10 years or more, or did you have people kind of coming in and out? What were there like a good number of black educators there? What was that like?
Yeah. Say more about the turnaround. What do you mean by
Well,
turn?
I just mean like people leaving and coming and going. Teachers,
Okay. Oh, the
2 years.
turnover.
Yes, yes. Sorry, turnover. Yes,
Yeah.
turnover.
We had a lot of stable teachers who stuck around for a while. The school was 70% um, African American,
Hmm.
or Black. I'll just say Black because we had a lot of Caribbean families and then a lot of West African families. and then Black American families.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were 30% Latino or Latinx. And that was a mix too. Puerto Rican, DR, Mexico, mainly some from South America. So that was the demographic of the families there, of the students there. The teachers were, I'm going to say 60-40, maybe 60%. We had a good amount of Black educators, not as many Latinx educators. We had a good amount, and we had a good amount from the community. We had a good amount from the community, but still majority white teachers. And for my time there, my principal was a white woman, and we had a Black AP, a white, and two white AP. So that just gives you like the racial demographics that
Mm-hmm.
that were that were playing out. My principal was pretty good at that time. She was really strict, but she was clear about what she wanted and how she wanted the school to be and her expectations. She had high expectations for the educators. She could be pretty tough. And I'm giving you that context because so that you can understand why there was some turnover, but not total turnover.
Yeah.
Some people really enjoy is not the right word. They can function with a tough leader, and some people can't. I was the union rep, so saw some teachers really struggle with having a principal who wasn't always nice. Is the
Mm-hmm.
best way to say it. Yeah, yeah. I was
Mm-hmm.
there for 11 years. It was really impactful on me,
Mm-hmm.
my experience there. Um, and at some point, I knew that I wouldn't be there forever.
Yeah. Let me ask you before we talk about this, like, the exit of from that school,
Yeah,
did you have an opportunity to be mentored by someone or mentor someone while you're in, even if it was a different school? Did you have the opportunity to be mentored or mentor?
short answer is no. There aren't enough supports for new teachers. You are expected to jump off a tree and flap your wings and
Mm-hmm.
hope that you can keep yourself afloat. If you want help, you could ask for help. There were a lot of older teachers there who could give unsolicited guidance. But there was
Always.
right, there was nobody assigned to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have to go and search out your own answers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like so when you say like a mentor, there I was not in a system of mentorship. I'm
Yeah.
saying system, which means like somebody assigns you. It's
Yeah.
purposeful. This is your mentor. You're a new teacher. You're gonna have this mentor for 2 years, and this mentor is gonna help you and be with you, help you set up your classroom. You can no such a thing. No such thing existed. Not in the fellowship that I was in. We did our coursework together, um, and not within. Somebody's going to listen and say that's not quite fair. I remember having a male support. He was an older gentleman who worked for the DOE, and he came to help. Uh, but define help, because help
Yeah.
is what I need. Help is not a checkbox. Help is not as I came on your prep period and we talked for 20 minutes about how you could do your library. That wasn't the help that I needed. And so
Yeah.
I say that because programs will say we assist, but who's determining the value of that assistance, the worthiness of that assistance? If it's not coming from the teachers, it's coming from the system. We send help, check the box. Um, then that's not good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. I'm hearing that more and more that people did not receive an official mentor. And if they did get assigned someone, they came every once in a while and it wasn't what they needed, especially in those early years when so many of us are just floundering, really
Yeah.
trying hard. And the older teachers are like, should we ask them? I don't want them to judge me, but they know all the things. But then,
Yes.
and so it's really tough. So thank you for answering that question for me. And so then the question is now you 10.5 years, what was that time where you knew it was time to start thinking about transitioning and doing something else?
Yeah. There was, I don't have another way to describe it except uh, a restlessness in my spirit. That's how I'm gonna say it. It was a restlessness in my spirit that probably started happening. I stayed there 10 and a half years. It probably started happening year 8.
Sure.
I was ready. I had many role shifts too. It wasn't because I was in a singular role. I had been a self-contained classroom teacher, and then I had been a social studies teacher, and then I had been an IEP teacher, and I was doing small groups, and then I became the dean. So I was receiving more progressively challenging roles, and I think that was because I was good at what I was doing, and I was good at building relationships with the other teachers and fostering connection among everyone. I did the retirement party for a number of years. I'm the one that told we going to the retirement party. You going? Where's y'all got your ticket money? You gonna give me half? This is me knocking on your door. Check box. You paid half. That I'll come back next Friday for the other half. Like I was
Yeah.
really that kind of a glue. I loved my job. I was in my neighborhood with my babies doing hard work. That doesn't mean sometimes I didn't go home and be exhausted. That doesn't
Sure.
mean I was on the fourth floor and I didn't want to scale down the side of the building with my pocketbook and get out of there. Because some days you've had enough. But generally and genuinely, I loved my job and I loved those kids. I take anything off a 5-year old. I take anything off a 7-year old. Now you 37. There's an expectation of how you're supposed to show up for work. That's different for a
Yeah.
7-year old. And so I began to feel restless, like I wanted to do more. Honestly, I was like, this can't be it. This is it. This is it. This is what I'm supposed to do for the next 25 years. I
Mm-hmm.
knew that there was more that I wanted to do to affect change in a different way. And I had to look back at the year. It was the year that Mike Brown was murdered, and there was a lot of talk. I think it was after Trayvon Martin, and I share them in the Black community largely, and there's a lot of Black teachers, although not the majority. I witnessed the split. There was a split between when all of this, the beginning of the upheaval started to happen in police brutality, um, and teachers' attitudes around um, the children. Uh, uh,
Mm.
and I'll let me be more specific. I It was during that time, and I put a post on Facebook about uh, Mike Brown. I can't tell you the specifics of it now. I don't remember, but some of my colleagues who are white women, they didn't like it. They were uncomfortable with it, and they didn't. Instead of coming to me to say, "What's this post? Tell me more," they went directly to my principal, and they said, Hamer put this post on, and we're not comfortable. There was a group of women that I found out they carpool together. They all drive together. And my principal pulled me to the side and she shared it with me and she paid it no mind. She's like, she didn't get upset with me. I was not reprimanded. She was letting me know what happened. And that crushed me. And the reason why I felt crushed was because these were women who I believed I was in relationship with. And so come directly to me. Y'all have
Yeah.
your own conversation about what Hamer put about this very sensitive issue that's happening in the media and happening all around. And I felt like, how can they? I really felt like they couldn't effectively teach our children. That was a truth that I was holding. To me, you cannot instruct without love, and you cannot love without understanding. And you cannot understand without relationship. So if you want to know how good a teacher's instruction is, then you ask about their relationship with their students and their families. And it just struck me by their response to what was happening in the media with the police brutality that there's no way that they could truly be instructing the children. You want to know why these children can't read? Because you don't love them. And that was real to me. That was real to me. And I had to get up out of there. And it wasn't safe for me to be there. And I had to find a way to reach those teachers before they were 20 years entrenched.
Mm.
Because these teachers were older than me
Yeah.
and been there years and would
Yeah.
challenge me. If they were on the call right now, they'd say, I absolutely love those children. And I have to say, how do you demonstrate that then? What is the demonstration of that? Because you are demonizing a young black man because you don't understand his lived experience. But you're in the hood every day with black children and can't wait to get out. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get out. It's 4 o'clock. They done packed up their classroom. They getting out of there. I've seen it too many times. It's parent teacher conference. You got to be there till 8 o'clock, and they're nervous. They're nervous. I won't forget it. I won't forget that feeling. So you're coming in here to teach every day, but you're terrified.
Mm.
You can't teach afraid. You can't tell me that doesn't affect the quality of your instruction. If you're that afraid, don't be here. And to me, that is a challenge. But I also believe that it's not all loss. That
Yeah.
that a change can be made. I do believe that. I do believe that. But there's not, to me, there's not good enough professional development for educators. Quality, effective professional development that helps teachers get to the root of who they really are, what their real values are, and how those show up in their instruction and in their relationships with families. Um, and so it was on the heels of that I left with a lot of pain too, with pain and some guilt because I got to leave my babies behind
Mm-hmm.
in that, you know? Yeah, I had to leave my babies behind in that. And I know that they mean well. They want to be there because or else they wouldn't. So I don't want to demonize them because they're there. They spend their career because they love children too. And they want to do the work too. And they want to teach too. But that's why you need a certain level of cultural competence that you must enter with. Or, your instruction is going to struggle. And thus the children struggle.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Um, I think that yeah, so many of us it's hard to leave the children, and at the same time, we like you said, it comes like that. People coming behind your back that you thought were in good relationship with right relationship with you, and lack the human development. Like professional development, sure, but human development first, and it's just not there.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I appreciate you sharing that story.
I don't tell it often. So here
Yeah,
I am on the podcast. I don't say it out often because it's sensitive. It's
sure.
sensitive. It's nuanced. So I don't say it, I don't tell that story lightly.
Yeah, and I can definitely feel right the urgency. There's so much urgency. And I'm just thinking about your students and the talent show, and those students are adults now, and hopefully that some of them can come back and hear your story, and understand why you chose to transition. And I think that's the hardest thing sometimes is the students see you there and then you're gone, or they come back to visit because they're on to high school or middle school and you're no longer there, and
Yeah.
there's sometimes nobody to say this is what really happened. And so children can fill in the blank about why they think that we've transitioned on, and just never know. Um, so thank you. So leaving that school, did you go on to another school altogether, or did you leave this particular type of education system and do something totally different?
So interesting. Interesting story. Before leaving, I want to say maybe it was like a year and a half before leaving. My principal learns of this program. Program is called Parent Corps, and they have professional development for educators, and they have a parenting program for families. And there's also a classroom curriculum for pre-K students. But I'm speaking primarily of the professional development and the parenting program. And she said, I want that program here. It's the evidence-based program. It's really great. And she says, I want you to go to the professional development and bring the program here, the parenting program to our school. And she knew my history of working with struggling families, working in the shelters. I started a food pantry in the school.
Mm.
She's like, you got to do this. This is going to be you, Kai. And I said, great. Go to the professional development. Absolutely blows me away. Absolutely blows me away. It's the best professional development that I have been a part of, and I have been teaching for 10 years because
Mm-hmm.
it did the underneath work. It
Mm.
asked, who are you? Because who you are is how you are. Who you are is how you teach. The closer you get to know who you are, it's going to affect how you show up. That's what that professional development did for me. And so I went there and I brought it back to my school. And we did the parenting program. I facilitated the parenting program at my school to outstanding success. I had a full room every week. It's a fully manualized program, um, but it lands in love. And it's evidence based, rooted in science. I'm going to say it lands in love. I'm going to say it lands in love because I land in love. And so I'm giving life to the words on the paper. And the parents show up and we're having conversations about what it means to be a parent, about the values they have, about what's important about their culture, about the things that they want to, in their parenting, what things they want to do from when they were a kid. What do you remember you want to actually do the same
Mm-hmm.
things? And what things are different? What are some memories you have from your childhood that you don't like about your own parenting? And how do you want to be different? And
Mm-hmm.
sharing the science of early childhood with parents. And it was packed. I mean, I used to call everybody every week. You come in, Miss Johnson? We had fun. And we was in the evening time so parents could come after work. We served dinner.
Can I
Um,
pause you for a second?
yeah, yeah.
That what you just said was very key. I call them every week.
Called them every week.
And I think people will hear something like this, write down, oh, parent core or whatever, and then miss that part right there. The calling every week. Yeah, you can pull out the crock pot or the donuts and the juice, and then why they didn't show up. We sent a flyer in the backpack, but you're saying I called them every week,
Dr.
and
Lyons, whew, you hit the nail on the head.
yeah,
Because family engagement is not a paper. It's not a cup of coffee. It is relationship. It is
yeah,
relationship.
yeah,
And in relationships, we call people, don't you? You call people you want to see, right? You the same characteristics that we show up in our regular relationships that are good that work. We have to show up when we build in relationships with families. So I called them every week and I reminded them that I enjoyed you being there, that we learned a lot, and that I can't wait for you to come next week. And it was real because they came and we actually have fun. We would be laughing and joking and doing a curriculum. But it was about their connection to the facilitator. Um,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, that's real. That's real. Because people are sending flyers home and it's crunched up in the bottom of the book bag because that's not relationship. That's not relationship.
yeah.
Yeah,
So continue. Tell us about
yeah,
that
yeah,
programming and yeah,
yeah.
its impact on you. It sounds like it was phenomenal for this for the families, but you as well.
It had an impact on me, and it would be my exit. That program would be my exit. The program ran phenomenally at the school, so much so that the leader of the program um, brought funders. They were looking for, at this time, they're trying to scale this program and they need the money to do it. And they needed to bring a funder to witness the program, and they brought them to my program. Then they talked to the families about the program and they talked to me about the program. And they got a lot of funding. I want to say millions of dollars in funding to grow the program.
Mm,
And that was my opportunity. I think I reached out to one of the managers of the program who had been coaching me. And I said, look, because the training was so powerful, I was like, I can train. I'm off in the summertime. What can I do in the summer? And she
mm-hmm.
said, do you want a summer opportunity, or do you want a new job? And I won't forget it. I said, I want a new job. Called it. That was over Easter vacation. She's like, come meet. Let's have coffee and let's talk. And that's what I did. And then I got offered a job on the spot. So I came back from Easter break knowing that June would be my last day. Yeah, that was my exit. That was my exit to do that program. Um, I will say this right now, 10 years later, I'm the director of that program. Yeah, I'm the director of that program. That's the role that I play now, and that was my exit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you. We're
yeah,
going to talk a little bit later about like more about what you're doing now because that's really important I think for lots of reasons because people need to know about the programming but they also need to know like you've been there 10 years all the things that you've learned that about this and how it compares to your time in like a traditional K-12 space.
yeah,
But since we're in this part of like the exit, let me ask you the question knowing that you saw diverse educators and your experience like racialized experiences you talked about, what do you think, and being in the union, right, supporting union folks, what do you think that schools, districts and unions can do to retain black educators in higher education too if you have that experience, like what are some of your ideas?
yeah. Black educators need what all educators need, what good systems um, can or need to supply. A, good pay. Teachers need money to live. Look, you can't live on your good intentions. You can't eat them and you can't pay a mortgage on them. So educators need to be paid well, black or otherwise. Educators need competent leaders who care. We need leaders who know what they are doing, who know how to lead and not bully, who know how to cultivate culture that not only make children want to learn, that make adults want to show up. We put a lot on teachers. We put a lot. Their cups are dry, and they're supposed to pour into children and families. I say that's impossible. We need leaders that can cultivate environments that let teachers' cups runneth over. Because when they overflow on kids. When teachers overflow, they overflow on families. And right now, systems got teachers dry. They need effective professional development. But I like what you said. You didn't call it human development. They need professional development that is specific and unique to educational spaces. And they need human development where they're seen as holistic and full individuals. People try to carve themselves up, Dr. Lyons. And you think this is home me and this is work me. And I'm going to be
Mm-hmm.
this way at home. As soon as I get off work, I turn into home me. And that can't be further from the truth. We are whole people and we need a support that feeds the wholeness of who we are. We cannot carve. People try it. You're trying to compartmentalize, but
Mm-hmm.
actually, you can't hide from yourself. Everywhere you go, there you are. So there's no like slicing and dicing. And people need community. Educators need community that is rooted in trust and truth. And that's what I felt like I was missing. I thought I had community rooted in trust and truth. And in actuality, I did not. I worked for New York City. I felt like the other things I had a lot of. I never balked about my salary. If I go way back, I remember when I was working at one of the small nonprofits as a case manager. And the minute I became a teacher, my salary doubled. So it wasn't a challenge for me in New York City. I had professional development opportunities and I learned a lot. But what was missing for me was community rooted in truth and trust. I didn't have that. And I needed that. That would have helped me stay. That would have sustained me to stay. And those are the things I wish for Black educators. Those are the things I wish for all educators.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and nothing. You're right on. Of course, you're right on. Um, yeah. So thinking about your time, thinking about those who were able to support you, those who taught you. when you were in your own education experience, are there Black educators, one or many, that you would like to shout out on our show?
Hmm. Yes, of course there are. So the first person I want to shout out, now I could be, because my energy goes up and down. I get serious and I get a little excited. I want to shout out first and foremost Dr. Melissa Mutu. That's my sister-in-law. She is a teacher. Um, she's the one who told me about New York City Teaching Fellows. She had gone through the program and she said to me, Kai, I think this is for you. So shout out to Dr. Melissa Mutu. If it wasn't for her, I might not have even taken a foray into education at all. So I'm grateful to her. Um, there's a young man that I know new to my community. Um, and his name is Vance Lewis. And he is sharp and on point. He taught special education in Philly. He's from the West Coast, but now he is committed to building an ecosystem that supports um, educators of color. That is his charge and his mission now. And he's just somebody I can tap. If somebody has a lot of knowledge, I'm like, oh, I need help. I support me with this strategy of how I can pull this off. Those are two Black educators that stand in my mind doing wonderful things. And one final shout out, I'd be remiss. I might get knocked upside my head if I don't say, to my very first teacher, my mother.
Yeah.
Barbara, my very first teacher, she instilled in me the value of education because I watched her as a young single mother with three kids go back to school and get both her BA and her master's degree in social work. I was in middle school and my mother was in school going back. She's my very first teacher. And so everything I say, everything I echo, whatever you if anyone's listening and they say, "Ooh, Kai, that sounds good. That's on point. I agree." It's because my mother taught me.
Mm,
My mother taught me. She's my first teacher. So shout out to my mother and shout out to all the mothers who are living and surviving and teaching children first. First teachers.
thank you. Thank you. So going back to that conversation of what are you doing now, right? So you've been at Parent Corps. Am I getting that
I've been
right?
at Parent Corps, called Parent Corps. I've been at Parent Corps for 10 years. And so I have various roles from coming in at newly as a parent core educator and facilitating and coaching people to facilitate the program all over New York City. I'm in kind of the supervisor and the manager, associate director, and then I've been the director for 3 years, and my charge is scaling the program nationally. We did a lot of deep work in New York City, and over the last 3 years, working to scale the program, the professional development, the parenting program, and Friend School. Um, it's powerful work. Again, I love it. I love it because I get to support educators and get to help them grow what I believe I should have gotten, which is support and family engagement. Here I
Mm,
am in this teaching program, New York City Teaching Fellows, and I'm at a top university in New York City, and there's no support in working with families, like really
mm,
building relationships with families. No course on family engagement. Took a course on dyslexia. I took a course on teaching math concepts, right? Did not take a course on family dynamics in the classroom or family engagement in the early childhood classroom. Nothing on that. That's just you're supposed to learn on your own, and you get burned learning the hard way. After,
yeah.
listen, can I really tell the truth? After somebody's mother tells, or if your student's mother tells you off because you didn't engage in a way that was empowering, that was healthy, but you didn't know.
Yeah.
And I just think educators could use support with that. So that's the deep work and that I'm doing now, and I love it. And I will also say that that won't be the end for me either. that won't be the end for me either. My top value is faith. There's always something better, always, and on all of the hard things are going to lead to something more. So I can't. There's another saying. I'm talking to you make me think of sayings like God didn't bring you this far to only bring you this far, right?
Yeah, that's
So
right.
more, there's more for me right now. I'm rooted, I'm doing the work of parent core now, but I'm always looking on the horizon at what's coming next because I know that there's more for me. Yeah, I don't know how many specifics I want to go into about Parent Core, but we definitely have a website. We are parentcore.org. The program is powerful. I will have a conversation with anybody at any time about the work specific to that program and just about what it means to be a Black educator and survive in it because it's what
Yeah,
I know well and it's what I know best.
yeah.
Yeah.
In that same in that same conversation of survival, I'm thinking about thriving, and you've been in this education work for over 20 years now. And so I have to ask, yeah, I know.
Impossible. I'm only 22.
Listen, we not here to do the math. I was just stating some facts, right? And
Yes.
so just thinking about your time as a new teacher, your time transitioning out, at Parent Core, and you outside of that, you talked about being a mom, a stepmom, like all these pieces and all the movement and the energy that you need and have to put into community. What does it look like to put that love into yourself? For you, what does it mean to be well?
Hmm. What a question. What does it mean to be well? What it means to be well to me has only um, became visible or more tangible as I've aged. Funny that I'm
Sure.
talking about age because to me, to be well is to be free. Um, and to be free to me means to be self determined. Um, I am well, I am my healthiest when I can determine for myself who and how I want to be. And I've only been able to even touch that in a minuscule way because because I'm a little bit older, because I
Mm-hmm.
care less about what other people think, how other people think I should wear my hair, how other people think I should dress. So I'm on my road to wellness. Wellness, yeah, I could have gave you all the cliche answers. Drink your water, get good sleep, eat healthy food and mind your business. And let me tell you something, that's gonna take you real far. But when you
Amen.
can determine for yourself, when you feel good determining for yourself who you want to be, how you want to be, the job you want to have or not have. Like when you can really be self-determined, when you have the room, the space. Because sometimes I think people think that they are determining for themselves, but there's so many choices. If I draw circles outside that sort of like force us to make choices. So when I'm saying free, I mean like having the financial freedom to do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So some of it's wrapped up in money, because some of it, that's the truth. Like I want to be at a place where I don't have to work unless I want to. I didn't get there
Mm-hmm.
yet. I didn't get there yet. So that's why I say I'm on my road to wellness, because for me, being fully well means to be fully self determined. And it takes courage. It takes courage to do what you want, how you want. Because, there's a lot of societal pressures. Listen, there's some pressures that's right in your family of people who think you should be doing certain things, wearing certain things, existing in the world a certain way. And what I
Mm-hmm.
want for people um, is to be free. I want that first for myself, but I want people to feel free. And if you feel free, then you can be well. So come on, y'all, let's get free. And once you snatch a little bit of freedom for yourself, then it's your responsibility to help someone else get free. Those are not
Mm-hmm.
my words, but I will repeat that sentiment. And the older I get, the more I understand that. Yeah, get free. Come on, and then we could be well. I'm working on it. I'm working on it now. Even this conversation, um, Dr. Lyons, the more I put it out there, it is a reflection. when I say self determination and freedom. I'm working on getting free, even to say the words out of my mouth, to hear it back to my own ears, helps me to continue to work on my own freedom. And I hope it supports another educator who's looking to get free themselves.
Kai, this has been a fantastic interview. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. Clarissa, we owe you.
Seriously.
Yeah. All right, folks. So if you want to reach out to Kai Hamer, her information is going to be in the show notes. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you on the next episode. All right. Peace.